Hello friends, it's Oz and welcome you to this little session. Decided just to sit down and take things a bit easy because I've been travelling around the last couple of weeks and I'm back home for a while, then I'm off again. But life is quite busy and of course sometimes it can get a bit stressful. I'm not perfect, I do things which sometimes I shouldn't really do. Age is catching up with me, or should I say that? The truth of it is, in life, I guess, we can make mistakes. Now, sometimes, deliberately, we do things just to kind of catch out people to see if they're really watching or listening to the information we are putting up on the kctvmedia site. And recently, I did actually have a bit of a news story reference to, well, I suppose you could say it's the skeleton story, which is enlarging as we speak, because recently in Northern Ireland, they've come across a huge skeleton, which is about 30 feet, maybe 35 feet in shape. And we're talking of literally a skeleton, but not of a man. This is a Nephilim giant skeleton, and many of these skeletons are being found across the earth as I speak to you. In fact, in such numbers that, of course, the media don't particularly want to cover the story because it would point to a kind of cover-up, and there are far better science equipped, which we hope to put up online, that people can look at and check out what's really going on. Because I know that L.A. Mazzulli, for one particular chap who I do believe and trust, you can't believe everything you hear, I know that, but there is so much information that L.A. Mazzulli provides that you've got to really take heed of what's being shared. But I want to touch on a subject which has got nothing to do with skeletons, or has it? And that is to do with, well, let's just say the Jezebel Spirit. Now, in Christian circles, let alone the other circles out there, people would probably come up to you and say you are barking mad. There isn't an enemy and there isn't spirits in this world, and why don't you just go back to sleep? Well, I'm telling you now that there are spirits in this world. There are certainly evil spirits or fallen angel spirits that have been around for many a year. And of course these giants, oh, here we go again, we're going back to the giants again, would have had a soul of kind, and they would have had a spirit. And the chances are that the vast majority of these giants were Nephilim. So I'm sorry we've come back to it again, but you see, in these creatures, and yes, God made these creatures, they would have had something like maybe a Jezebel spirit, for instance, roaming around them. Who knows? But the reality is that the Jezebel spirit is alive and kicking. And, well, just over a week ago, I was hoping in Birmingham to go to a conference that was going to be looking fully at the Jezebel spirit and what it means to today. Now, I think probably the best thing I can do, because I've had encounters with the Jezebel spirit in business, within women and in men, and I kind of, you pick up how can I put it? You discern something about folk sometimes, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, far from it, but there is this definite Jezebel spirit out there that can be in marriages, where you see the woman really kind of lording it over the man, and I saw that in a shop the other day, but we won't go there. Poor guy was putting on a coat, didn't fit him. And I'm not saying he had the Jezebel spirit, or the wife had the Jezebel spirit, but I'm just saying, in life, you start to see things, and in the end, some of that stuff kind of you remember, and you think, well, I saw that last time. And when it's in business, it's horrible. And when it's in a marriage, it's even worse. And I really want you to do yourself a favour, because this is a quick recording, to pop into Google and just write in Jezebel Spirit and have a read of what the Jezebel Spirit is about. And what you need to do, once you've done that and you've started to realise, crikey, that is possibly somebody I know, pray for them. Okay? And because that's what the Messiah wants us to do. He dealt with a lot of spirits in his time and casted them out. Okay? And I just want you to maybe start to read this, because unfortunately it's rife today. And a lot of people don't know what to do. And really this article tells you what to do. If you feel that you need a little bit more information, there's a guy called Ed Decker. Likewise, if you go on to, and I'm just going to go to the bit on our site that will help you. Just bear with me a second, because there's quite a lot on the site that we've been working on for the last few years. If you go into religious festivals, I think that will link you up to Ed Decker, and this is towards the end of that particular zone. Let me just check this out, because there's a lot being covered here. But if you go into Google anyway, just put Ed Decker, okay, and let me see, this was Saints Alive. That's it, Ed Decker, Saints Alive. That's probably the quickest way of doing it. And you'll see his wonderful website, tells you all about Freemasonry and why you shouldn't really be a Freemason, because you shouldn't be a Freemason, because Freemasons ain't free, and why you shouldn't be a Mormon, and why you shouldn't really be in various other things which he's mentioning. Or because he was once involved with all that stuff. And as my grandfather was a 33 Mason, I needed to be aware really what was going on. So a good friend of mine in BMF, Businessmen's Fellowship, said, check this guy out. And I did. And I suppose, in fact, Sid Roth, It's Supernatural, explains a lot of stuff about Freemasonry. But if you've got any questions, you know where to find us. As I say, I'm not perfect. I might have had some interesting experiences in my life. In fact, I'll tell you one that happened last week. I was going up north to a particular meeting, which I knew was going to happen, but it's the things that led from that are most interesting. And so anyway, I'm finishing off some DVDs and CDs. And the first set of CDs, I just had to get 3 done. So there was one group, 3, second group, 3, and the third group, 3. Okay? Amazingly, about 40 minutes later, after I'd done all of that, I tell you, no lie, on the table that I was working on in the lounge, I couldn't find the first set of 3 of 12 sessions, which are actually shown on Peter Scuthern's site at Peter Scuthern Ministries, and you'll see the link on our site for Peter. You won't. That's not going to be too difficult to find. And Peter shares a little bit of this and a lot more on the 12 sessions, the story of a lesser man, which we're going to be launching properly in a book form, I hope, at some point this year. But it's online free at the moment. So I was amazed that I couldn't find these 3 discs, basically. In fact, I looked everywhere. I went upstairs, I went in the back room, went in the kitchen. I looked for these 3 discs and I couldn't find them. I reckon there was a reason for this. And I've shared this to my wife and a couple of other people, because this is supernatural stuff going on. So, not being able to find the first set of 3, I realised I had to get the master copy, which I now couldn't find, and I went upstairs to ponder things. I just literally prayed for a few minutes. I must admit I was a bit panicky, because I needed those 3 copies, or that particular version of those 3 copies. And this is the 12th session. So if you want to find out online what the 12th session was about, go into Peter Scudden and click on the 12th session. Because the information there, you see, is very important for various reasons. Because it shares information that was recorded at St Michael's Mount, down in Cornwall, in 2016, and we had 2 or 3 other people with us. Thankfully, we were in the car because the weather was a bit windy, and our camera, mic and everything else would have not worked properly. So we did the wise thing. We sat in the car and we shared things from there and looked across to St Michael's Mount. Interesting times, really. And people don't realise that these are supernatural times. If you don't think they are, well, check out L.A. Mazzulli, because he's sharing the whole thing. And his site is on the front part of our site, and I'll tell you what you can be looking for. It is, and this is below. Okay, here we go. 30-foot giant skeletons found around the world. I mean, you just got to ask a 6-year-old, are they interested in the skeletons? They want to know more. Where do they come from? Let alone the grown-ups who seem to be half asleep. Anyway, underneath, the Nephilim giants found, great deception in the land with Sid Roth. Watch now. I'm going to leave this link on the front page until the Lord comes. And then after that is L.A. Mazzulli explains more. Watch here. And to prove it, I'm going to click on a switch now. And this is going to take you to L.A. Mazzulli, short track to understanding the bigger picture quickly, 2016. You've got to look at this stuff. If you call yourself a Christian, you've got to know what's going on. This is history. Historical history of our times. It really is incredible. And I have people that don't know their own history. They don't know what is happening with CERN. They don't know what's happening beneath the ice with Steve Quell in Antarctica. The Nephilim are here. They never went away. I tell you now. We are living in amazing times. Do yourself a favour. Please listen to the information on our site at kctvmedia.com. This is to help young Christians who are hungry because they don't get this information at church, because they don't understand how and why this helps them with their walk. Good. UFO and alien disclosure. You've got to look at this stuff, whether you like it or not. You can't just go to one side into the corner of the room and say, oh, this is not happening, this is not happening. Yes, it is happening, guys. And ladies. You can't hide from this. This is the end times we're in. These stuff, volcanoes, earthquakes, the Illuminati. What is Illuminati? Secret mind control, operations. This is what they're using. I've got one here, a lady that I've spoken to. I'll say her name. Her name is Jean, but it's probably not Jean, if you see what I mean. She sent me some photographs, and we had various talks about the black military intelligence. Just put black military intelligence in Google. This poor woman was operated on. And I've got the photographs. And I said to her that I would put them up if she phoned me back. I haven't heard from her for at least 2 years. Oh, by the way, UFOs were in the Bible, or are in the Bible. Chuck Missler, Return of the Nephilim, Space Wars, Inner Earth, Aliens Fallen. I tell you, you can't get away from this stuff. Mount Hermon, Roswell Connection, because you see the Nephilim are coming again. And I tell you what, One day you might thank me and people like us because we're putting our lives on the line for you so that you guys can know what to do. All this information is running out from angels and demons revealed, Nephilim giants, UFO alien abductees, supernatural insights, Area 51 CERN and stuff. I can tell you that we have been brought out from the 9 to 5 to deal with this, and we don't get paid. You might get paid, and I'm sure you get paid well, but we don't get paid. Check out religious festivals. Check out the Israel Zone. What was the Clash of the Kingdoms? Easter or Passover, which is for Christians today. God's annual festivals. Do you know what they are? Are Easter eggs biblical? The Sabbath, controversy. You bet. Because the Christian church today doesn't know a lot. My friends, I've had this scant, I'm going to call it a scant, because people don't know what's going on. This particular site, okay, it's not a whizzy-do site. We haven't got lots of stuff going on it, but we've got the main stuff. The stuff that you can then follow links through and discern. Of course, pray. If I've done something wrong, let me know. What's wrong with witchcraft? Question mark. You tell me what's right with witchcraft. What is the mark of the beast? God bless. Barry Smith from New Zealand. There's one you can put in Google. Barry Smith, New Zealand evangelist. He died a few years ago. I won't say a close friend, but he was a close friend. We spoke many a time. Forsaken promise. Guys, you've got to know your history. Did you know what Britain stands for or means in the Hebrew language? You ask somebody when you go through the doors and sit down and we'll have a cup of tea this coming Saturday or Sunday, whether you're Jewish, it doesn't matter. What does Britain mean in the Hebrew language? Yeah, put that in Google. You'll find out. We know what it means. The government doesn't want to know what it means because it'll change a lot of things. Because people will rebel. Well, they'll be quite angry anyway. Guys, you've got to know your history. Do you know what the triumphal ark of Pari, bell, blood, sacrifice? It's all linked up with CERN. And stargates. What are stargates? Guys, we've come a long, long way in the last 8 to 9 years. And most people are still going to church. They're not sure what they're really doing there. They don't know the real names of stuff. It's terrible to say this, but wake up. Especially on God's calendar, revealed and explained. Oh, and of course, yeah, coming back to Joseph of Arimathea, covenant revealed. He came here on a mission with the family after Christ's death. They had nowhere else to go. They were being hounded by guess who? The enemy. There is an enemy. And Britain has a Hebraic history. It means that the Hebrew, that means to cross over, by the way. That's what Hebrew means, to cross over. If nothing else. Joseph of Arimathea and the family came here, yes, from the land, because Joseph was a businessman and he had the contacts and the money to help resettle those that had given their lives to Christ, who believed in Christ, and they came to this country. I'm not replacing Israel No, I'm not. But I can tell you now, Israel is far greater than the land itself. Israel, I'm an Israelite, and I am grafted in to an amazing story. If you don't believe me, just come on some of the links. Find out for yourself. Get hungry. Get hungry. And share this stuff to people. Share it, because we haven't got much time. I don't want to put pressure on you guys, but we haven't got much time. Russia and America are sounding off right now. They could quite easily light the touch fuse to a nuclear war. That is in prophecy. Guess where? In the Bible. Oh, my friends, you need to know these things. You need to know these things. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of fantastic news, actually. Did you know the Spitfire is a film which we have, and we actually show the whole film of how the Spitfire came about, because you see, without that plane, fair chance we wouldn't have won the Battle of Britain. You know? And it covers such a glorious touch of God that nobody really knows about. But if you come on to the British song, Joseph of Arimathea, Covenant Revealed, look down, you'll see, and you'll be not just entertained, but you'll see a prophetic story come alive. Because one woman, and you'll find out what her name was and who she was related to, because she had the finance to pay for, we believe, 500 Spitfires. And who was the person that actually designed the Spitfire? Well, you'll see all of that. And she paid for those Spitfires out of her own back pocket, and handed over the Spitfires to the RAF in waiting. And of course, the pilots, well, a miracle happened there, didn't it? Go and look at the film. Spitfire film comes alive. It's amazing what we don't know. I really hope that encourages you. Because you see, sometimes I look at what amazing stories and clips we have to offer and to share you guys. Because you see, he's made it possible for us to do this. I had no real skills when I first started this. But time and time again, he helped me. His Holy Spirit helped me put these clips together, so that we could bring you this site called kctvmedia.com. I ain't gonna quit. I've had too much happen to me for me to quit. And yes, my grandfather may have been a 33 Freemason, but I know a lot of Freemasons have been hoodwinked, because their mates have gone into Freemasonry and so on. They followed the next one in, like sheep to the slaughter, or say lambs to the slaughter. That's the same scenario. But you need to know what's going on. Don't be a puppet. Or as my son would say, don't be a muppet. Guys, women, whoever's listening to this, check out the website, please. Check it out. It's for you to use. It's for you to make sure that other people you know can check out some of the stories. We will be taking off a few of the things that have been up there for 3 or 4 years. But of course, they've stood, the times. If we'd have taken them down, people wouldn't be seeing what's happening today. There's so much good stuff that we've put up here. And I thank the Lord that we've been able to do it on a very small budget. Very few people have helped us. but the Lord has. I leave it with you, and thank you for listening to this. A rather kind of, how can I put it, I've got a sore throat, I want to sneeze, I want to go to bed, but I had to do this today so that you can listen to the information that I've shared with you, and it's a lot. Check out where the giants are coming from. Check out where the skeletons are. That's big news. Check out CERN, Area 51. That's still alive today. Check out the 6-day war miracles. I never thought I'd say this, but check out David Icke. Yeah. Check out David Icke. I don't think he's as mad as he makes out to be. I reckon the guy, yes, has been through a very supernatural experience in his life, but there's a reason for that. It only takes a second to get to know the Lord. Get out into the cutting-edge Christian media stuff. 9/11 evidences and false flags. To some of you, this will be literally amazing. I don't care what this sounded like. I've seen enough to know that yes, 3 discs can disappear. I've also had in the same room a book which I have shared on the front cover. Let me get there quickly. I'll show you what I'm talking about now. Hang on a second. I'm just going to the front part of the website. I will get there. It's on the right-hand side. Okay, we're coming down to it now, and it says Pagan Christianity. Click on that. Listen to this guy. Watch the video clip. Incredible. Until the next time, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. And I'll say it again, thanks for listening.